My relationship with Sean and John Huston, the director.
That's right.
We had a wonderful time on that. And Sean is one of my closest friends.
Connery was known to keep his personal life from the spotlight, even though he was popularly known for the iconic James Bond movie. Inside reports suggest that he had personal struggles that contrasted his charismatic personality on stage. In winning this award, it creates a certain dilemma because I had decided if I'd had the good fortune to win. Throughout the years, his close friend Michael Caine remained silent on the rumors surrounding Sean Connery. Now he has decided to speak up and talk about the real James Bond, offering a fresh perspective on the man behind the legend. Did Michael Caine's story confirm the rumors about his friend, or did it leave the public with even more to worry about his legend and legacy? Join us as we take a closer look at Michael Caine's revelations and find out who Sean Connery really was. Well, I did, in fact. The film opened in Ireland, and we were there, and we all went to the races together. Beyond the spotlight, the movie star started his career as a bodybuilder in Scotland before he became the beloved James Bond. He was known as a charismatic man with a lot of confidence. However, despite this reputation, he faced a lot of challenges that contrasted with his movie role. Reports have it that he kept this life hidden from the media due to how controversial it was. There were a lot of rumors about his personality and how his behavior off-camera did not match his image as James Bond. Sean Connery became James Bond in 1962, but almost didn't get the part. Ian Fleming, who wrote the Bond books, had other actors in mind. No one knew who Connery was back then, plus some folks didn't want a Scottish actor playing a classic English spy. He had to fight for the role. He even nearly missed an audition because he was helping a friend move. The studio people weren't sure about his looks either, but Connery didn't give up. He worked hard and proved to everyone he was perfect for Bond. So, I have to fight it, as it were, on its own terms. Sean and Michael Caine were best friends for 50 years. When Sean died, Michael opened up about what his friend was really like. He shared how Sean had a hard time with fame and felt troubled by it, and that's why he packed up and left Hollywood looking for a quieter life. What turned Connery from a struggling actor into a superstar? Was it just landing the role of Bond, or was there more to his rise to fame? The humble beginnings. Sean Connery was born in Edinburgh, Scotland, on August 25th. This keeps everything intact while improving readability. Let me know if you need further refinements. 1930, his parents named him Thomas Sean Connery after his dad's father. He grew up at 176 Fountain Bridge in a building that's been torn down since. His mom, Effie, worked as a cleaner. She got her name from her grandmother, Euphemia McBain, who came from a place called Ceres in F. His dad, Joseph, worked in a factory and drove trucks for a living. His dad's grandparents moved to Scotland from Wexford, Ireland, back in the 1800s. His great-granddad, James, was an Irish traveler. The rest of his family had Scottish roots, with some of his mom's side speaking Gaelic from places like Fay and Skye. His dad was Catholic, and his mom was Protestant. Though he started small, he shot up around age 12 and grew to 6 feet 2 inches by 18. Teens called him Big Tam. He hung out with an Irish friend named Seamus. When they were together, people used his middle name, Sean, since it went well with Seamus. Everything was pretty dreary and drab. After that, he kept using Sean instead of Tommy. Connery's first job was delivering milk for St. Cuthbert's Co-op in Edinburgh. Years later, at a film festival, he shocked a taxi driver by naming every street they passed. He knew them all from his milk route. At 16, he joined the Royal Navy, where he got 2 tattoos that meant a lot to him. One was for his parents, and the other showed his love for Scotland. He trained with guns in Portsmouth and served on a ship called HMS Formidable. But at 19, the Navy let him go because of stomach ulcers, something that ran in the men in his family. Connery came from humble beginnings and worked hard from day one. But how did this kid from the streets of Edinburgh become one of the biggest movie stars ever? Stumbling into fame, Connery got into bodybuilding at 18 and trained hard with Ellington, who used to teach fitness in the British Army. There's some debate about his Mr. Universe competition. Some say he placed third in 1950, while others say it was in 1953. He quit bodybuilding after getting frustrated with American competitors who just focused on getting huge muscles. Unlike them, Connery wanted to stay athletic and fit. Looking for extra cash, Connery picked up work behind the scenes at the King's Theatre in 1951. While at a bodybuilding show in London, he heard about tryouts for South Pacific. He landed a small part as a chorus boy, And by the time the show hit Edinburgh, he was promoted to a bigger role and a better paycheck from 12 to 14 to 10 a week. The show did so well that it came back the next year, and Connery moved up again, taking over Larry Hagman's old role as Lieutenant Buzz Adams. Even with his extra acting gigs, Connery was broke and had to babysit for a journalist named Peter Noble to earn 10 shillings a night. At Noble's house, he met actress Shelley Winters, who thought he was incredibly handsome. He crashed at TV host Lou Gardner's place during this time. His agent got him a role in a play called Witness for the prosecution that paid £6 a week. That led to more theater work. He acted in A Point of Departure, A Witch in Time at Kew Theatre, The Baccy at Oxford, and Anna Christie with Jill Bennett. During all this, he became good friends with another Scottish actor, Ian Bannon. How did all this experience help Connery secure the role of a lifetime that changed his life forever? Landing the role of Bond changed everything for Connery. Though he wasn't sure about signing up for multiple movies at first, he saw it could boost his career. He played 007 in 5 films between 1962 and 1967, Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, and You Only Live Twice. After quitting, he came back twice more for Diamonds Are Forever in 1971 and Never Say Never Again in 1983. Every single Bond film was a box office hit. He played the role so well that the American Film Institute ranked his Bond as one of the top movie heroes of all time. We might never have seen Connery as Bond if it wasn't for Dana Broccoli. She convinced her husband, Cubby, to give him the role. Even Ian Fleming, who created Bond, didn't want Connery at first. He thought he was too muscular and rough for the part, but when Fleming's girlfriend Blanche said Connery used charm, Fleming gave him a chance. After seeing Dr. No, Fleming changed his mind completely. He was so impressed that he rewrote Bond's background, making his dad Scottish in his 1964 book You Only Live Twice. Director Terence Young helped shape Connery into Bond. He showed him the ropes, everything from how to walk and talk to table manners. Young's coaching paid off big time. After Dr. No came out, Connery got thousands of fan letters every week and became one of Hollywood's biggest symbols. A cuff around the ear type, almost a Victorian figure. After Dr. No hit theaters in 1962, Bond, James Bond, became one of the most famous movie lines ever. The way Connery said it was perfect, slow and cool, with his last name first, then first name, then last name again. Standing there in his tux with a cigarette, looking down at the bad guys, Connery made those 3 simple words feel both threatening and seductive. But behind that cool image, Connery's relationship with Bond was complicated. The superstar in Hollywood, Connery took on the role of Bond without going to any acting school. It was his natural talent and charm that created the 007 persona we all know today. He showed everyone what a spy should be and made the character smooth, deadly, and cool as ice. What he did with the character turned the movie into a worldwide hit. Due to the success of the movie, every actor who wanted to star in an action movie would copy the James Bond style. The fame came with a price tag Connery didn't expect. No matter what other parts he played, people only saw him as James Bond. My name is Bond, James Bond. He took on different roles to shake off the 007 image, but audiences couldn't see past the spy in the tux. It started to wear him down, and soon he felt trapped by his own success. In interviews, he mentioned that he did not hate playing the character. He just didn't want it to be the only thing people remembered about him. Being Bond took its toll since he had to keep up the image all the time, not just when filming. His friend Michael Caine saw how much Connery dealt with being stuck as 007 in everyone's minds. Sure, the role gave him a lot of money and fame, but he could not grow beyond what the role of James Bond afforded him. So how did Connery finally come to terms with the role that defined him, and what steps did he take to establish his legacy beyond James Bond? The friendship that stood firm, Connery's friend Michael Caine was a real friend, not just a Hollywood buddy. In an industry where most friendships do not last, the two friends stayed together through thick and thin. They helped each other handle fame and shared the good times and bad. Their friendship worked because they respected each other and always had each other's backs. Though they were complete opposites in personality, Connery and Caine shared a deep bond. Connery was a quiet one who kept to himself, while Caine loved being around people. But they understood each other. They both fought their way up from poverty. Watching his friend become James Bond was bittersweet for Caine. The role made Connery a huge star, But it came with a price. He couldn't go anywhere without people watching his every move. Still, Caine said Connery was grateful Bond had given him opportunities most actors could only dream about. What really brought them together was how they both saw through Hollywood's fakeness. When Bond made Connery a superstar overnight, the pressure nearly broke him. But Caine was there, helping him cope with sudden fame. Connery would open up to Caine when it got too much, telling him he just wanted to act, not be turned into some kind of idol. Caine never judged. He just listened. That's what real friends do. Finally, in 1975, they got to work together on a movie called The Man Who Would Be King. Shooting in Morocco was tough. The weather was brutal on everyone. While the crew worried about a big storm coming, Connery just laughed it off and told his friend that they would get through it. Seeing how cool Connery stayed under pressure made his friend love and respect him even more. By the way, I loved your speech last year when you got this award. Even after Connery moved to the Bahamas to get away from the Hollywood scene, he and Caine kept in touch. They would call each other regularly to talk about family and life's simple moments. For Caine, Connery was like a big brother who always had his back. Caine used to say that Connery taught him real friendship means sticking around when times get tough, and that's exactly what they did for each other. So what was the final straw that motivated Connery's decision to leave Hollywood behind, and how does his legacy continue to influence generations of actors today? After years of questions about why Connery left Hollywood, Caine is finally telling his side. After half a century of friendship, he wants people to know the real Sean. Sure, the papers painted Connery as difficult, saying he was too demanding with directors and fellow actors. But Caine tells it differently. His friend wasn't being difficult, he just wanted everyone to care as much about the work as he did. Connery's perfectionism caused problems outside of acting too. In 1965, Connery gave a controversial Playboy interview where he made some deeply troubling comments supporting violence against women. When asked about the subject, he defended the idea of hitting women under certain circumstances, suggesting it could be justified if other options were exhausted. These remarks would follow and haunt him for decades to come. When the topic came up again in a 1987 interview with Barbara Walters, Connery stood by his earlier comments, suggesting that violence could be justified when women were provocative. Well, if you have tried everything else, and women are pretty good at it. Even in 1993, talking to Vanity Fair, he tried to defend his stance, arguing there were worse ways to hurt someone than physical violence. His words would come back to haunt him. The public turned against him, questioning who he was behind the charm, and many of his fans walked away. People remembered that he had troubles with his first marriage. In her 2006 book, his ex-wife claimed that he was mentally and physically abusive during their time together. These claims blew up because of the comments he made about hitting women. They had to skip a Scottish Parliament appearance in 2006 because of the backlash. When he tried to set the record straight, telling the Times of London that he was completely against abuse of women under any circumstances, the damage to his reputation was already done. Though Connery charmed audiences on screen, his real life stirred up plenty of drama. But was it just his controversial comments that made him leave Hollywood, or was there more to the story? The decision to walk away. Connery officially quit acting when he got a Lifetime Achievement Award in 2006. He was fed up with Hollywood, saying he didn't like how movies were being made anymore. When rumors spread that he might come back for another Indiana Jones movie in 2007, he shot them down, joking that he was having too much fun being retired. I promised to do everything I can to deserve it, except retire. In 2010, fans in Estonia put up a bronze bust of him outside their Scottish club. He did come back once in 2012 to do a voice role in a Scottish cartoon called Sir Billy, where he also helped produce a longer version. Connery's last movie, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, pushed him over the edge. The whole thing was a mess, according to him. He fought constantly with director Stephen Norrington, even saying the guy should have been locked up for being crazy. Though Connery tried to save the film in editing, it bombed with critics and audiences. Instead of trying for one last hit to end his career, he decided enough was enough. Hollywood stress wasn't worth it anymore. He packed his bags and never looked back. In a later interview, Connery didn't hold back about why he quit. He said Hollywood was now run by idiots. He did praise a few people. 4-0. Here's your text converted into paragraphs without adding or skipping any words. Like George Clooney, Steven Soderbergh, and Sean Penn for still trying to make good films instead of just chasing easy money with remakes and sequels, he mentioned that Hollywood had changed a lot since his early days and he wanted no part of what it had become. He walked away from million-dollar deals and never looked back. Caine confirmed that his friend left because he was fed up with all the fake people in Hollywood and couldn't take all the lies anymore. So Connery packed up and moved to the Bahamas with his wife, where he could live in peace without all the Hollywood nonsense. So how does Connery's love for art redefine his legacy? And what other untold stories does Michael Caine have to share about the man called 007? A life beyond the spotlight. Not many people know that Connery loved to paint. In his later years, he'd spend hours at home with his brushes, finally free from the cameras and fans. He told his friend that painting allowed him to tell his own stories just like acting. But unlike acting, his paintings were just for him. It gave him peace and a way to be creative without Hollywood's pressure. His paintings weren't going to end up in museums, but they showed what was in his heart, someone who liked to think deeply and keep things simple. While most folks only saw the smooth guy who played Bond, his real friends knew about this quieter side of him. The way he found happiness away from Hollywood showed that he always stayed true to himself. Connery found real peace in painting. It let him express both the good and tough times in his life. His wife, Micheline, said painting helped him show who he really was. He loved painting Scotland most of all, capturing the wild beauty of his homeland. Micheline called his artwork silent confessions, like he could share his feelings through paint better than words. Behind the Bond image, Connery was just a guy who loved his wife and liked to paint. Fame never went to his head. He stayed real through it all. Whether he was working on a painting or spending time with Micheline, he found happiness in life's simple moments. These little-known parts of him show there was more to Connery than his tough guy act. He cared deeply about his family and never forgot where he came from. What other secrets did Sean Connery keep from the spotlight, and how did they make him the man we remember today? Trouble with women. Besides loving his wife, Connery lived pretty simply despite being a huge star. He'd rather read a book than hit red carpet events. Caine says his friend kept a diary too. It was his way of sorting out his thoughts. Every day, he'd write about life, being famous, and what mattered to him. Those diaries stayed private, but they show how Connery was always thinking deeply about stuff beyond just being a movie star. Caine gets emotional talking about his friend, not just as a movie star, but as someone who stuck to what he believed in. Sean always knew what he wanted and didn't back down, Caine said. Whether he was quitting Hollywood at his peak or choosing quiet family time over fame, Connery lived life his way. He handled being famous gracefully, then walked away. When he was ready for peace and quiet, even with all the awards and fame, Connery had his tough times. People wondered if walking away from Hollywood really made him happy. Though he loved his quiet life away from the spotlight, he dealt with a private pain that most fans never knew about. Under that tough guy image and famous smile, he wrestled with doubt just like anyone else did. Walking away from fame gave Connery the peace he wanted. But what struggles did he face in his final years that we never got to see? A farewell marked by love and legacy. Connery and his son Jason never had it easy. They loved each other, but were too proud to work things out. When Alzheimer's hit Connery in his final years, it slowly took away who he was. His wife, Micheline, cared for him by herself, turning away any outside help. She wanted him to keep his pride until the end. Even as his mind faded, she lived for those brief moments when she saw that familiar love in his eyes. Even with his illness, Connery wanted peace and quiet. In the end, he spent his last days at home in the Bahamas with his family, far from Hollywood. He died in his sleep on October 31st, 2020, exactly how he wanted. No hospitals or machines. When Connery died, Hollywood's biggest stars shared memories of him. Actors like Robert De Niro, Hugh Jackman, Harrison Ford, and all the other James Bond actors paid tribute. His old friend Michael Caine called him a brilliant actor and great friend. The Bond producers said Connery changed movies forever with his tough, clever take on 007, and they thanked him for making the series such a hit. Scotland loved Connery. They named him their greatest living Scot in 2004 and their greatest national treasure in 2011. His charm lasted for decades, too. People magazine picked him as the sexiest man alive in 1989, then named him Sexiest Man of the Century 10 years later. He and Roger Moore both played Bond 7 times, more than any other actor. By 1965, Bond fever was huge. Time magazine said he'd become the biggest pop culture hero of the decade. What will Connery's legacy be? Brilliant actor or troubled star? Did Hollywood's changes drive him away, or was he running from his controversies? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. When the topic came up again in a 1987 interview with Barbara Walters, Connery stood by his earlier comments, suggesting that violence could be justified when women were provocative. Well, if you have tried everything else, and women are pretty good at it. Even in 1993, talking to Vanity Fair, he tried to 40 defend his stance, arguing there were worse ways to hurt someone than physical violence. His words would come back to haunt him. The public turned against him, questioning who he was behind the charm, and many of his fans walked away. People remember that he had troubles with his first marriage. In her 2006 book, his ex-wife claimed that he was mentally and physically abusive during their time together. These claims blew up because of the comments he made about hitting women. They had to skip a Scottish Parliament appearance in 2006 because of the backlash. When he tried to set the record straight, telling the Times of London that he was completely against abuse of women under any circumstances, the damage to his reputation was already done. Though Connery charmed audiences on screen, his real life stirred up plenty of drama. But was it just his controversial comments that made him leave Hollywood, or was there more to the story? The decision to walk away. Connery officially quit acting when he got a Lifetime Achievement Award in 2006. He was fed up with Hollywood, saying he didn't like how movies were being made anymore. When rumors spread that he might come back for another Indiana Jones movie in 2007, he shot them down, joking that he was having too much fun being retired. I promise to do everything I can to deserve it, except retire. In 2010, fans in Estonia put up a bronze bust of him outside their Scottish club. He did come back once in 2012 to do a voice role in a Scottish cartoon called Sir Billy, where he also helped produce a longer version. Connery's last movie, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, pushed him over the edge. The whole thing was a mess, according to him. He fought constantly with director Stephen Norrington, even saying the guy should have been locked up for being crazy. Though Connery tried to save the film in editing, it bombed with critics and audiences. Instead of trying for one last hit to end his career, he decided enough was enough. Hollywood stress wasn't worth it anymore. He packed his bags and never looked back. In a later interview, Connery didn't hold back about why he quit. He said Hollywood was now run by idiots. He did praise a few people,